Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Gospelof.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause the times is the man, the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
The man, the truth.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
The man, the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to the man,
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. Welcome to First Contact Radio. How you doing today? Thursday. We've made it this far. One more day this week. So today we have an Aquarius sun and we have a moon in Virgo. Aquarius is an air sign, so air moves. So our conscious mind is feeling the effect of the Aquarian air and wind that is blowing through our lives. The moon sign, which is Virgo, is an earth sign. Earth is stable. Virgo is the tarot card of the hermit. The hermit is the one who shines the light for others. So it implies helping, teaching, sharing. These are the ideas that are implied, and also analysis. The Virgo analyzes. Okay, so these are the symbols that we're dealing with today. The particular aspects that we're going to be aware of, there's only a couple of them here. Two of them already taken place. The first one was between Mercury, communication, and Saturn, discipline. Disciplining how we communicate our thoughts and things of this nature, focusing them. Then we had a square not too long ago between the moon sign, Virgo, and Saturn again in the mix. So again, learning how to discipline ourselves, focus our energies, focus the energies of Virgo and what we analyze, think about, share, help, so on and so forth. And then tonight, or actually just before 1 o'clock, we have, actually this is, just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we have an opposition going on. Remember, like a teeter-totter. On one side is going to be the Neptune, which is saying take a new perspective, look at things from another way. The other side we have Virgo, which is wanting to analyze things. And the two can work really nice together because in the analysis aspect, sometimes we get stuck. Therefore, we need to look things in a new perspective. So hopefully the Virgo will be humble enough to be able to look at things from different perspectives to get the answer as opposed to just being stubborn and stuck in one's own way. All right. Today is 16 Shavat on the Jewish calendar of the year 5775. The daily thought is called well springs. Only pure water can purify. The further you wish to take that water, the deeper your wellspring must be. Those who wish to reach to the very outside and enlighten and purify that place, they must reach deep inside the womb of truth. Okay, good, very interesting. 97% of the way full. Or in a waning moon, means we're going back down to the new moon. Wax up, wane down. Solar wind currently at 407.4 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is in the 3 range. At the moment, our coronal hole is really kind of subsided a bit here. We've got something forming here and up top. We'll see how that expands over the next couple days. M-class flare possibilities at 20%, X-class is at 1. Geomagnetic storm activities down low to 15% in the mid-latitudes, 25-30% in the high latitudes, but that seems to be dropping as well. All right. And let's take a look at the sky. 5th. So straight up above us is going to be Regulus tonight. Up above Regulus is Jupiter. Okay, the waning gibbous moon rises around 8 p.m. depending on where you live in your time zone. High above it, Jupiter is already shining brightly. Look between them and a touch left for fainter Regulus. Okay. And there you have it. That's the cosmic weather compilation of the energies around us for the day. So when we go out and about in the world, we know what we're dealing with, just like if we looked at any other sort of weather to know what we're dealing with. All right, UFO news is up next. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. UFO News, we have 5 stories for you today. First one is dealing with Mars. Here's our object in question. A little black dot up there. Source comes from JPL and NASA. StreetCap 1 found another sighting here. It shows a dark object flying in the background. When I added contrast to see the object is much bigger than we thought. The sides take shape, the object gains size. This might be true. This might not be a UFO, but may be evidence of a primitive instinct or bird-like life on Mars. The main problem is NASA never talks about these anomalies, and they don't want you seeing or thinking about them. Okay, so whatever that is above Mars, NASA's not talking. Okay, very interesting. What do you think it is? Alright, now we're going to go over to the UK. Stunning daytime photo taken above Clock Tower. Is this our object in question right there? It appears to be. UFO has been spotted in Crewe, sparking debate as to whether the town has been visited by extraterrestrials. The photo, which was posted on Facebook, was originally taken last Friday to highlight possible health and safety issue concerning a worker on top of the Crewe clock tower. That's this guy right here. But look closely, you can see an eerie glowing light up in the sky, prompting some to wonder whether the truth was out there. There's our interesting looking light. Crewe Town Council Clerk Steve McQuaid said, "I knew when I took the job that Crewe is a very interesting place and attracts folks from far and wide, but events last Friday moved Crewe into the intergalactic level. We're trying hard to attract people into Crewe for events, meetings, and conferences using the great facilities in our town, and I can only assume that our message has gotten out well beyond the solar system. It was a surprise to receive the image of what looks like the classic flying saucer hovering over the clock tower. We need independent verification, of course, but alien spotting may now complement train spotting as a leisure activity. While some people on social media remain open to the possibility of being visited by alien life, it seems not everyone is impressed. Some even have their own more plausible theories. Jason Griffiths, who had a theory, said it's the reflection of the light fading off a glass window of a window in Delamere House. The photo was initially taken to capture the amazing, stupid actions by a person on top of the clock tower attempting to clean the flagpole." Okay, this person was going to clean the flagpole, huh? Very interesting. How'd you like to have that job? No, thank you. Alright, power plant explosion produces a spectacular beam of light right here. Many Escanaba, Michigan residents awoke Monday to find themselves without power after an explosion at a nearby utility plant substation. Around 1:30 to 2 a.m. Around 1:30 a.m. on February 2nd, an explosion at power plant caused widespread power outages across the city. Some residents have stated that the United States government has taken a bizarre interest in the city near the Canadian border. One of the witnesses stated that the incredible beam of light shot straight down from the heavens. The local media attempted to explain away the light as a beam from an oncoming train. Most witnesses were not buying this explanation, and they believe some type of cover-up is in the works. Oddly, the fire produced by the explosion spontaneously extinguished. Even though there are many witnesses that took multiple videos, the mainstream media has been oddly quiet about this catastrophe, as Canaba is located in the Upper Peninsula. Well, that's pretty interesting. Power plant explosion and a beam of light shooting down from above. Very fascinating indeed. Okay, let's take a look at this one here. Here's another 2 videos.
This is Dabu 7. This light in the sky was a train coming in their direction.
Okay.
Video trying to get in contact with them.
All right. Links are available. Check it out. Here we have a UFO spotted in NASA footage as Apollo 10 rehearsed its moon landing. Despite the NASA footage of Apollo 10 rehearsing a moon landing in May 1969 being some of the most watched video in history, it seems at least one thing was missed. A white round UFO can be seen flying underneath the command service module, zooming away in the opposite direction. Right here. What was it? The video above, posted on YouTube on the 3rd of February, focuses on the critical moment when the Apollo 10 crew were testing equipment and procedures for a moon landing, which actually took place on the historic following flight of Apollo 11 a month later. As the lander pilot Gene Cernan takes the first color photo of the flight over the lunar surface, a white circular UFO suddenly comes into view and flies directly underneath the spaceship going the other way. Whatever the unidentified flying object was, it traveled in a nearby straight line at a constant speed and was clearly seen below the CSM, which was flying about a mile above the moon. When the video was shot, it can clearly be seen at about the 1-minute mark in the video. The clip from the official footage of the Apollo 10 mission and broadcast around the world live on TV at the time. While the fairly dated and grainy video plays out, there are some imaging anomalies obvious, particularly what looks like optical glitches sparking momentary and winking out, but the UFO in the sequence travels in one direction and appears throughout nearly 10 seconds. Alright, so take a look at that, see what you think. We know NASA's not telling us the truth. And one last piece here, it's an article at UFO Digest. This one's by Nick Pope. UFOLOGY, challenging more cliches. Last month's column, I examined various cliches, tropes, and often repeated mantras, debunking a few myths and misconceptions, and probably upsetting a few people in the die-hard debunker and true believer camps alike. But the whole purpose of this column is to be provocative and to stimulate lively debate. So with that in mind, this month I intend to put some more claims under the microscope and see if they hold up to scrutiny. With apologies, as last month's column, this may make many uncomfortable reading for some. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a skeptic myself. If you've got skeptical credentials, it's sensible to state them. And if someone like science writer Michael Sherman uses this phrase and then goes on to tell you about his belief in something anomalous, that's fair enough. But the statement or a variation on the theme is all too often trotted out by the most wide-eyed true believer who's just about to tell you about their faith in some particularly dubious claim or sighting. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a believer, so there's no need to falsely claim skeptical credentials just to appear a little more discerning. I take a scientific approach to ufology unless you routinely and correctly use phrases like testable predictions, false positives, confounding factors, and falsifiable. You probably don't. What people who claim to take a scientific approach to ufology seem to be implying is that their research and investigations are thorough. They may well be, but that's not the same as scientific. On a related issue, we have people who lie about it or exaggerate their credentials when it comes to science. So we get 2 or 3 skeptical ufologists who are amateur astronomers. And not only do they misrepresent themselves as scientists, but they seem to expect their ufological peers to afford them the same respect as Galileo. Sorry, but respect has to be earned. One ufologist who as a college lecturer misrepresents himself and allows himself to be misrepresented as a professor. Another ufologist who's a convicted drug supplier once tried to bill himself as a cultural historian. Yet another ufologist who runs an anti-Semitic blog also claims that he once served in the military. who doubtless labeled himself as a political analyst if he thought that he could get away with it. And the latter point, when any ufologist, skeptic, or believer claims to be ex-military, I strongly recommend that people verify their military background even before considering their UFO-related pronouncements. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Yes, we know. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary investigation. Yes, we know that too. Hello, I have my own radio show, okay? That is the one that's really going to upset a few people, but it's time ufology faced the facts about this, so I'm going to major on this one. The proliferation of the largely internet-only radio show in the field is getting out of hand. There are a tiny handful of radio shows such as Coast to Coast that are professionally run and generally reach a large audience, but there is a myriad of other shows which are essentially just one-man bands, vanity projects, and a host who wants to be a star and guests who think they're already celebrities. That's not to say that there aren't plenty of shows out there that are perfectly well-intentioned, where the host and the guests simply want to get the information out to the people. To quote another cliche, however, welcome to the Billy Bob Bowman Show with your host, Billy Bob, followed by 3 hours of some guy with a blog waffling about how his theories of the New World Order isn't going to achieve much. Alright, so let's see the tragedy here, this is the last paragraph, is that so much of this is well-intentioned, but if that may be, the time is long overdue for the UFO, paranormal, conspiracy theory, and alternative belief communities to take a long, hard, critical look at the radio phenomena and ask what's real, tangible benefit it brings. Okay, so lengthy article by Nick Pope. I wanted to bring this up because it does bring to mind, that's exactly what I'm doing here, doing a radio show. There's lots out there doing these type of shows, lots of ways people are putting information out, and it just brings us to the point that we do need to use critical thinking, because there's a lot of people out there who try to fake stuff. There's people out there for doing things for various reasons. Even on this show, when I tell you things, don't take face value. Go look it up for yourself. Okay? The objective is for us to learn to think for ourselves. I'm simply sharing with you information that I have found and come to know over the years, and you find value of it, great. If not, show me some other things as well. But it's a good article. I have met Nick, so I understand where he's coming from in all of this. I'm sure many of you have heard the stories of Nick, so you understand where he's coming from as well. Anyway, that's our UFO news for today. Let's jump away for a moment. I'll be back, and we're going to continue on with the Gospel of Truth.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Time to continue on. Okay, so we are into the Gospel of Truth. There's a lot of these documents over there at the Nag Hammadi Library. As you've heard so far from the readings, there are similar stories that are told in the Bible, in the Old and the New Testament, but the stories that we're finding and reading about here in the Nag Hammadi are certainly much more in-depth than what you get in the Bible stories. So I've already, in cross-checking, I've already seen places where the stories that come up in the Bible, when I go back and I reread them now with this new information, it brings them to life in a different manner. So I'm sure that you are finding the same thing if you are doing any cross-referencing out there as well. Okay, let's continue on. The Gospel of Truth. So we're talking about God here. It says, what then is that which he wants him to think? I am like the shadows and the phantoms of the night. When morning comes, this one knows that the fear which he had experienced was nothing. Thus they were ignorant of the Father, he who is the one whom they did not see. Since there had been fear and confusion and a lack of confidence and doubt-mindedness and division, there were many illusions which were conceived by him, and foregoing as well as empty ignorance, as if they were fast asleep and found themselves a prey to troubled dreams. Either there is a place to which they flee, or they lack strength as they come, having pursued unspecified things. Either they are involved in inflicting blows, or they themselves receive bruises. Either they are falling from high places, or they fly off through the air, though they have no wings at all. Other times it is as if certain people were trying to kill him, even though there is no one pursuing them, or they themselves are killing those beside them, for they are stained by their blood. Until the moment when they who are passing through all of these things, they who have experienced all of these confusions, awake, they see nothing because the dreams were nothing. It is thus that they who cast ignorance from them as sheep do not consider it to be anything, nor regard its properties to be something real, but they renounce them like a dream in the night, and they consider the knowledge of the Father to be the dawn. It is thus that each one is acted as if he were asleep during the time when he was ignorant, and thus he comes to understand as if he were awakening. And happy is the man who comes to himself and awakens. Indeed, blessed is he who has opened the eyes of the blind. And the Spirit came to him in haste when it raised him, having given its hand to the one lying prone on the ground. It placed him firmly on his feet, for he had not yet stood up. He gave him the means of knowing the knowledge of the Father and the revelation of his Son. For when they saw it and listened to it, he permitted them to take a taste of it and smell and grasp the beloved Son. He appeared, informing them of the Father, the illimitable One. He inspired them with that which is in the mind, while doing his will. Many received the light and turned towards him, but material men were alien to him and did not discern his appearance nor recognize him, for he came in the likeness of flesh, and nothing blocked his way, because it was incorruptible or unrestrainable. Moreover, while saying new things, speaking about what is in the heart of the Father, he proclaimed the faultless word. Light spoke through his mouth, and his voice brought forth life. He gave them thought and understanding, and mercy and salvation, and the spirit of strength derived from the limitless of the Father and the sweetness. He caused punishments and scourgings to cease, for it was they which caused many in need of mercy to astray from him in error and in chains, and he mightily destroyed them and derided them with knowledge. He became a path for those who went astray, and knowledge of those who are ignorant, a discovery for those who thought, and a support for those who tremble, a purity for those who are defiled. He is the shepherd who left behind the 99 sheep which had not strayed, and went in search of the one that was lost. He rejoiced when he had found it, for 99 is the number of the left hand which holds it. The moment he finds the one, the whole number is transferred to the right hand. Thus it is with him who lacks the one, that is the entire right hand which attracts that in which is deficient, seizes it from the left side and transfers it to the right. In this way then the number becomes 100. The number signifies the Father. He labored even on the Sabbath for his sheep which he found fallen into the pit. He saved the life of that sheep, bringing it from the pit, in order that you might understand fully that the Sabbath is you who possess full understanding. It is a day in which it is not fitting that salvation be idle, so that you might speak of the heavenly day, which has no night, and of the sun, which is not set because it is perfect. Say then in your heart that you are this perfect day, and that in the light which does not fail dwells. Speak concerning the truth to those who seek it, and of knowledge to those who in their error have committed sin. Make sure-footed those who stumble, and stretch forth your hands to the sick. Nourish the hungry, and let them ease those who are troubled. Foster men who love, raise up and awaken those who sleep. For you are this understanding which encourages. If the strong follow this course, they are even stronger. Turn your attention to yourselves. Do not be concerned with other things, namely that which you have cast forth from yourself and which you have dismissed. Do not return to eat them. Do not be moth-eaten. Do not be worm-eaten, for you have already shaken it off. Do not be a place for the devil, for you have already destroyed him. Do not strengthen your last obstacles, because that is reprehensible. For the lawless one is nothing. He harms himself more than the law, for that one does his works because he is a lawless person. But this one, because he is a righteous person, does his works among others. Do the will of the Father, then, for you are from him. For the Father is sweet, and his will is good. He knows the things that are yours, so that you may rest yourselves in them. For by the fruits one knows the things that are yours, that they are the children of the Father, and the one knows his aroma, that you originate from the grace of his countenance. For this reason the Father loved his aroma, and it manifests itself in every place, and when it is mixed with matter, he gives his aroma to the light, and in his rest he causes it to ascend in every form and in every sound. For there are no nostrils which smell the aroma, but it is the Spirit which possesses the sense of smell, and it draws it for itself, to itself, and sinks into the aroma of the Father. He is indeed the place for it, and he takes it to the place from which it has come in the first aroma, in which is cold. It is something in psychic form resembling cold water, which is, since it is in the soil, which is not hard, of which those who see it think it is earth. Afterwards it becomes soft again. If a breath is taken, it is usually hot. The cold aromas, then, are from the division. For this reason God came and destroyed the division, and he brought the hot pleroma of love, so that the cold may not return, but that the unity of the perfect thought prevail. This is the word of the gospel of the finding of the pleroma for those who await the salvation which comes from above, when their hope, for which they are waiting, is waiting. They whose likeness is the night, in which there is no shadow, then at that time the pleroma is about to come. The deficiency of matter, however, is not because of the limitless of the Father, who comes at the time of the deficiency. Yet no one is able to say that the incorruptible one will come in this manner, but the depth of the Father is increasing, and the thought of error is not with him. It is a matter of falling down, and a matter of being readily set upright at the finding that the one who has come to him will turn back. For his turning back is called repentance. For this reason incorruption has breathed. It followed him who has sinned, in order that he may find rest. For forgiveness is that which remains for the light in the deficiency, the word of the pleroma. For the physician hurries to the place in which there is sickness, because that is the desire which he has. The sick man is in a deficient condition, and he does not hide himself, because the physician possesses that which he lacks. In this manner the deficiency is filled by the pleroma, which has no deficiency, which has given itself out in order to fill the one who is deficient, so that grace may take him then from the area which is deficient and has no grace. Because this is a diminishing occurred in the place in which there was no grace, the area or the one who is small, who is deficient, is taken hold of. He revealed himself as a pleroma, for example, finding the light of the truth which has shined towards him, because he is unchangeable. For this reason they who have been troubled speak about Christ in the midst, so that they may receive a return, and he may anoint them with the ointment. The ointment is the pity of the Father, who have mercy on them. But those whom he has anointed are those who are perfect. For the filled vessels are those which are customarily used for anointing. But when the anointing is finished, the vessel is usually empty, and the cause of its deficiency is the consumption of its ointment. For then a breath is drawn only through the power which he has. But the one who is without deficiency, one does not trust anyone beside himself, nor does one pour anything out. But that which is deficient is filled again by the perfect Father. He is good. He knows his plantings, because he is the one who has planted them in his paradise, and his paradise is the place of rest. This is the perfection of the thought of the Father, and these are the words of his reflection. Each one of his words is the work of his will alone, and the revelation of his logos. Since they were in the depth of his mind, the logos, who is the first to come forth, caused them to appear, along with an intellect which speaks the unique word by the means of a silent grace. It is called thought, since they were in it before becoming manifest. It happened then, it was the first to come forth at the moment pleasing to the will of him who desired it, and it is the will that the Father is at rest, and with whom it is which he is pleased. Nothing happens without him, nor does anything occur without the will of the Father, but his will is incomprehensible. His will is his mark, and no one can know it, nor is it possible for them to concentrate on it in order to possess it. But that which he wishes takes place at the moment he wishes it. Even if the view does not please anyone, it is God's will. For the Father knows the beginning of them all as well as their end. For when their end arrives, he will question them to their faces. The end, you see, is the recognition of him who is hidden, that is the Father, from whom the beginning came forth, and to whom will turn to all who have come from him. For they were made manifest for the glory and the joy of his name. And the name of the Father is the Son. It is he who in the beginning gave a name to him who came forth from him. It is the same one, and he begat him a son. He gave him the name which belonged to him, he the Father who possesses everything which exists around him. He possessed the name, he has a son, and it is possible for them to see him. The name, however, is invisible, for it alone is the mystery of the invisible, about to come to ears completely filled with the thought of the Father's agency. Moreover, as the Father's name, his name is not pronounced, but it is revealed through a Son. Thus, then, the name is great. Who then has been able to pronounce a name for him, this great name, except him alone to whom the name belongs, and the sons of the names of whom the name of the Father is at rest, and who themselves in turn are at rest in his name, since the Father has no beginning? Is it he alone who engendered it for himself, a name in the beginning that had before created the aeons, that the name of the Father should be over their heads as the Lord? That is the real name, which is secure by his authority and his perfect power. For the name is not drawn from the lexicons, nor is his name derived from the common name-giving, but it is invisible. He gave a name to himself alone, because he alone saw it, because he alone was capable of giving himself a name. For he who does not exist has no name. For what name would one give to him who did not exist? Nevertheless, he who exists also with his name, and he alone knows it, and to him alone the Father gave a name. The Son is his name. He did not therefore keep it secretly hidden, but the Son came into existence. He himself gave a name to him. The name then is that of the Father, just as the name of the Father is the Son. For otherwise, where would compassion find a name outside of the Father? But someone will probably say to his companion, who would give a name to someone who existed before himself, as if indeed children do not receive their name from one of those who gave them birth? Above all, then, it is fitting for us to think this point over. What is the name? It is the real name. It is indeed the name which came from the Father, for it is he who owns the name. He did not, you see, get the name on loan, or in the case of others, because it is the form in which each of them is going to be created. Thus then is the authoritative name. There was no one else to whom he has given it, but it remained unnamed, unuttered, till the moment when he who is perfect pronounced it to himself, and it was he alone who was able to pronounce his name and to see it. When it pleased him then that his Son should be his pronounced name, and when he gave this name to him, he who has come from the depths spoke of his secrets, because he knew that the Father was absolute goodness. For this reason, indeed, he sent this particular one, in order that he might speak concerning the place and of his place of rest from which he had come forth, that he might glorify the Pleroma, the greatness of his name, and the sweetness of his Father. Each one will speak concerning the place from which he has come forth, and the region from which he has received his essential being. He will hasten to return once again, and he want from that place, the place where he was, because he tasted of that place, and he nourished and he grew, and his own place of rest is his Pleroma. And all the emanations from the Father, therefore, are Pleromas, and all his manifestations have their roots in the one who caused them all to grow from himself. He appointed a limit they then, because manifest individually in order that they might be in their own thought, for that place to which they extend their thoughts is their root, which lifts them upward through the heights of the Father. They reach his head, which is at rest for them, and they remain there near to it, so that they say they have participated in his face by means of embraces. But these of this kind are not manifest, because they have not risen above themselves, neither have they deprived of the glory of the Father, nor have they been thought of him as small, nor bitter, nor angry, but as absolutely good, unperturbed, sweet, knowing all the spaces before they came into existence, and having no need of instruction. Such are they who possess from above something of this immeasurable greatness, as they strain towards that unique and perfect one who exists there for them. And they do not go down to Hades. They have neither envy nor moaning, nor is the death in them, but they rest in him who rests, without wearying themselves or becoming involved in the search for truth. But they indeed are truth, and the Father is in them, and they are in the Father, since they are perfect, inseparable from him who is truly good. They lack nothing in any way, but they are given rest and refreshed by the Spirit, and they listen to their root. They have leisure for themselves, they in whom he will find his root, and he will suffer no loss to his soul. Such is the place of the blessed. This is their place. As for the rest, then they may know in their place that it does not suit me, after having been in the place of rest, to say anything more. But he is the one in whom I shall be, in order to devote myself at all times to the Father of the all, and the true brothers, those upon whom the love of the Father is lavished, and in whose midst nothing of him is lacking. It is they who manifest themselves truly, since they are the one, since they are in that true and eternal life, and speak of the perfect light filled with the seed of the Father, and which is in his heart and in his pleroma, while his Spirit rejoices in it and glorifies him in whom it was, because the Father is good, and his children are perfect and worthy of his name, because he is the Father. Children of this kind are those whom he loves. Okay. You got it? There's a lot of information here. I certainly am needing to read through this again to really get a deeper understanding of it. But that is the gospel of truth. Really seems to be getting into just to talking about the greatness of God the Father and the Son, and how the Son manifests because of the will of the Father. And there's just a lot of in-depth information surrounding that. So I shall leave the link for you so you can check it out. I'm going to do further study on it, and we'll reconvene tomorrow, and we'll see where the day takes us from there. All right. Here's an article. It's called Proof That Group Meditation Can Change the World. Meditation has the potential to literally transform the world. In 1978, what is known as the Maharishi effect took place when a group of 7,000 individuals over the course of 3 weeks were meditating in the hopes of positively affecting the surrounding city. They were able to literally transform the collective energy of the city, which reduced global crime rates, violence, and casualties during the time of their meditation by an average of 16%. Suicide rates and automobile accidents also were reduced with all variables accounted for. In fact, there was a 72% reduction in terrorist activity during the times at which this group was meditating. Almost 50 studies have been done, further confirming the benefits of global meditation and its direct impact on everything in the world. Even so far as the results published in the Journal of Crime and Justice in 1981. We know meditation has endless health and physiological benefits, but is now being explored by politics and sociology because of its undeniable energetic impact. For example, a day-to-day study of a 2-month assembly in Israel during August and September 1983 showed that on days when the number of participants at a peace assembly was high, the intensity of an ongoing war in a neighboring Lebanon decreased sharply. When the number of participants was high, war deaths in Lebanon dropped by 76%. When the study was repeated in Wales, they got amazing results. In 1987, Merseyside had the third highest crime rate of 11 of the 11 largest metropolitan areas in England and Wales. By 1992, it had the lowest crime rate, 40% below the levels predicted by the previous behavior of the series. There were 255,000 less crimes in Merseyside from 1988 to 92 than would have been expected had Merseyside continued to follow the national crime trend. The secret of the global Maharishi effect is the phenomenon known as physics as the field effect, the effect of coherence and positively produced from the field of infinite correlation, the self-referred field of least excitation of consciousness, the field of transcendental consciousness, which is the basis to creation and permeates all life everywhere. Meditation takes your consciousness to the implicate levels of existence, where your intentions have consequential effects on the explicate level that we interact with before it even manifests. Consciousness gives rise to the material. The key idea is that all of existence manifests out of a field of universal consciousness called the unified field or superstring field. Okay, so one last quote here says, I think the claim can be plausibly made that the potential impact of this research exceeds that of any other ongoing social or psychological research program. It has survived a broader array of statistical tests than most research in the field of conflict resolution. This work and the theory that informs it deserve the most serious consideration by academics and policy makers alike. All right, so we understand how meditation works and the positive benefits. That's why every show ends with a meditation, because it doesn't take millions and millions and millions to change the world. It takes a small group, and that goes out. And as we go out into the world every day and we share, we connect with others who are doing exactly the same thing, and we continue to grow larger, because there are lots of groups out around the world that are looking to put peace into the world by meditation. So what we're doing is we're basically finding each other so that we connect in a way that is spiritually superior than the way that we have been taught, in the way that we intuitively know that we need to be able to share this information with others. Okay, so there you have it. There you have it. Today I have a message for us. It's from the Elohim. Here it is. The Elohim. February 3rd is the date that it was recorded.
The Elohim, you have reached the crowning moment of ascension expansion. Massive influx of walk-ins at this point in time confirmed.
Channeled by Carla Thompson, February 3rd, 2015.
Elohim message.
Beloved ones, we are the Elohim, and we wish to comment that this moment crowns all moments in the ascension expansion, where the great flowering of parallel timelines continues, where realities flicker on or are there in one moment, then off or simply morphed into other expressions in the next. It is like the house of mirrors at the local fair. Although the mirrors are here, now, they are not static nor permanently in one place, but rotate their positions and their makeup in every instant. This is the multidimensionality that you are living with, and to which your third-dimensional perspective has difficulty to comprehend. The fiery gateways flow open and then close, and your existence upon many infinite levels continues in subconscious form as your conscious form holds onto the makeup of your waking reality. It is true that there are areas or clumps of reality missing from your awareness, as the energy from these areas is mostly relocated to another expression. It is the absence of this imprint that you now notice through the gift of your expanded awareness. Your expanded awareness fuels your affinity for mental telepathy and makes this your preferred mode of communication now. Your ability in telepathy flourishes as you reach a new level of sensitivity in claircognizance. With claircognizance there is immediate, intimate, and direct knowing about anything you choose to tune into. It is your new expanded filter in life. This gift grows now and is seen, for instance, in your ability to ascertain instantly the nature of a website, whether sincere or whether regurgitated disinformation, or to ascertain a soul destined for a lower timeline, or one newly arrived here destined for the upper earth. From this point onward, you will grow into other new abilities, and we already see great leaps of clarity in you and many light warriors now, as the knowing of something is spontaneous. This knowing even crosses all timelines, where a dream of an event or a vision from the meditative state is an actual knowing of the event, the actual experiencing of the event. This is the first step in expanding into your true ability to tune into, and see, the Akashic records, a signpost of higher dimensional existence. At the group level, humanity is going through a natural separation into two distinct groups of individuals, where the division removes the souls requiring and choosing more experiences in this third dimension to walk out, and those new souls wishing to make ascension to the new earth a part of their experience, to walk in. The group who is attaining the expansion of awareness which grants them access to the Akashic records is the group that remains here on this uppermost level of expression. These individuals are firstly the warriors of the first and last hour, as well as the many old souls. The entire group to remain here on the uppermost planet now begin to pull in all of their soul fragments, which is also posing some energetic challenges upon all bodies of these individuals. The second group, those who cannot carry the necessary light quotient nor make the evolutionary advancements needed for an enlightened being and hence civilization, are dropping away, in a natural way, to the new timeline of their soul's choice. Events are created and opportunities taken to vacate a physical body to move to another timeline. As one soul vacates a body, another is free to enter. We describe this as a soul walk-in, and this is happening now with great ease and regularity. The majority of new souls coming and enter carrying the new template. This creates a common soul family, monad, as the foundation for the incarnates on this upper timeline, and will ultimately lead to a sustained harmony as they are coming in greater and greater numbers now. The light quotient rises and harmony becomes the order of the day, as those souls who leave take with them their unyielding negativity and recalcitrant stubbornness in their unwillingness to open and effect change in their own behavior. These old habits and traits do not support the new earth and are now replaced with new souls whose characters represent a balance of centered calmness and personality control, integrity, compassion, forthrightness, and humor. All of these traits necessarily create harmony, and harmony is one of the most important foundational elements not only in all matters of this reality but also of the new earth. Each of you knows someone in your life whose old traits and reactions seem to have been replaced by these new fresh ones. Look around, as there is no doubt that you will be able to pick them out, for they are there. This is a new phase in creation, as many forces now drive the rapid expansion of the ascension, and every moment is a miracle in creation. We are the Elohim and we surround you with all our love. May peace be with you.
Alright, good message. Again, another message talking about the new heaven, the new earth, the opportunity that we have to move forward through this process of change that is taking place. This new heaven, this new earth that we are dealing with. It was Dolores Cannon talked about this, that the earth is splitting apart, and that in this splitting apart we have an opportunity where we're going to be on which world. Are we going to be part of the world that is caught up in all of the nonsense, or are we going to shift our consciousness to something else that is much more beneficial to us? Well, that's the opportunity we have. Which world are we going to go? Are we going to go with the higher consciousness, or are we going to get stuck with the lower one? Are we going to rise above the wars, or are we going to stay there where we are thinking that that's the be-all, end-all? It's very interesting and fascinating, at least to me, when we take all of this information that we've been gathering and learning from and just applying it, because it changes the story. When there's new information, the story changes to see a little bit more of what's really taking place. Alright, here's just before our meditation, this is the Warrior of the Light for today. When a warrior is the victim of some injustice, he usually tries to be alone in order not to show his pain to others. This is both good and bad. It is one thing to allow one's heart to heal its wounds slowly, but it is quite another to sit all day in deep contemplation for fear of seeming weak. Inside of each of us there lives an angel and a devil, and their voices are very alike. Confronted by a problem, the devil encourages the solitary conversation, trying to show us how vulnerable we are. The angel makes us reflect on our attitudes and occasionally needs someone else's mouth to reveal itself. A warrior balances solitude and dependence. Alright, let's go to our meditation. Close your eyes. take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath and exhale again. Another deep breath and just ease into your breathing and just see yourself walking along a path. This is the path of life. And as you see yourself walking along the path of life, you see many others walking along as well. And as you walk along and you count yourself amongst the many, you feel as if you can make a change, an adjustment to this group by simply sharing with them the positive vibes that flow through you. So you imagine sending this positivity through you, and as it goes through and it affects everyone in the group, things change. And as others in the group pick up on this good vibe, they in turn share with others. And the process continues of sharing until eventually everyone walking along is feeling the good vibes. And so we realize through this simple action that we can affect the world and change the world one thought at a time. And so as we go throughout our lives today, let's just imagine doing that. Just changing the world one thought at a time by putting positivity into the world. Let's send love and light to all those around the world who are having challenges this day, that they might rise above the challenges, to see them truly as the lessons they are, that they might grow from the experience, and that their lives are enriched by the new wisdom that they have attained. Now let's just imagine love being sent to each and every individual around the planet. Picture those right now who you want specifically to send love to, and know that at this moment that love is sent to them. And last, take a moment to look at yourself in the mirror now and send love to yourself for all the hard work that you do in bringing forth all of the information you have to share with others. So let the subconscious mind continue on the journey of sending out love and positivity. And let the conscious mind come back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. And that is it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you very much for being here. One more day this week. So tomorrow, Friday, I'll have some more. We'll pick up. We'll continue on with the Nag Hammadi. There's a lot here. And we'll see where we go tomorrow. But just have a great day. Send out those vibes, those positive vibes, those loving vibes. And let's just keep making the world a good place. The place we want it to be. We don't have to get caught up in all this nonsense that's going on out there, all those lies and all the distrust and deceits and violence. We can rise above it. That's what this whole time is about. That's what the messages are. So either we could follow along with what we're told could happen if we simply change our ways, or we can get stuck in the same old way. I say let's rise above, because that's what all of the books tell us we need to do at this point in time, to rise above. So positivity is the way to go. That's it. I love you. Keep loving each other. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll continue on from there. Peace. I'm out of here.